Hey, this is Dan Blewett. It's January 2nd, 2012. As of today, I finished my 4th throwing session today. Today consisted of 10 throws 30 feet, 25 throws 40 feet, a 5-minute break, 10 throws from 30 feet, 15 from 45 feet, and then 25 from 60 feet. So I've been going by radar gun. Obviously, I'm using the distances right now. My facility only goes to about 70 feet. So once I get to step, I think 6 or 7 on my program, I'm going to run out of room. So I've been obviously going through by radar gun, and I'm going to have to get velocity measurements for all the distances that I'll use: 75 feet, 90 feet, 105, 120, 150, 180. I have to get those this week, and then I'm going to have to just simulate those distances by throwing at a slight upward angle, maybe just a foot or two above parallel, and then going by radar gun. So as of now, I've been pretty comfortable about 33 miles per hour from 30 feet, about 37 to 39 at 45 feet, and today was the first day at 60 feet, but I was pretty consistent at 44 to 46. So with the throwing, obviously this is where I get most of my questions about how does it feel, is it okay to feel this and feel that and all that. I haven't had any pain thus far. I didn't have any pain my first time around for at least the first 3 months as far as actually throwing. But what you do feel, that I felt both times through, is a stretchy, sort of dull, sort of ache feeling coming from the ligament. And that gets better for me as the throwing session goes along. Now, I warm up pretty well, but regardless, when I throw, I can feel the ligament stretch. I can feel that the ligament isn't all that strong as far as throwing loads. And as I get heated up, and as I guess the muscles get loose and just get adjusted to it, that stretching, sort of aching feeling in my ligament starts to subside. Also, the first throwing session I had, day one, about last Monday, felt by far the crappiest of all my sessions so far, just from that aching feeling. And day 2 was much better. Day 3 was better than that, and day 4 today was probably the best of all, even though I got out to a longer distance. So even though I'm throwing farther and harder today than I have been yet, it still felt better even at that distance than it had last week at any point. So the important thing to remember is that the ligament is adapting to the stresses that are placed upon it, so you shouldn't expect new things to set you back as you go forward. Really, they're going to improve the strength of the ligament, because again, when you stress it, the ligament's going to remodel and it's going to start to get stronger and toughen up as the throwing program progresses. So yeah, when you start doing new things, it's going to react negatively in a lot of ways. It's going to get sore or whatever. I don't have any of that right now, but once you get through that initial soreness or that initial feeling of discomfort, the ligament's going to get stronger, and then it's going to be well suited to do that same job again. So that's how the throwing program goes. As far as, I guess, the way it feels. Now, as far as me throwing, if you look at the video, there's a clip at the end of this talk. I still look pretty reserved. I felt a lot less reserved today than I did last week. It's also hard to throw 30 miles per hour, just in general, without sort of reserving yourself. But the general feeling that I feel as I throw is one of holding my joints together. So rather than having a loose wrist, I have a naturally very flexible wrist. I feel like I'm throwing like this. I have a pretty good layback and external rotation when I throw, but I feel like I'm not laying back at all. Even though I am, I'm just sort of tense all through my shoulder. I'm tense through my elbow. I'm tense through my wrist. And that's just a normal reaction to, hey, I got surgery. My elbow's been messed up forever. It's been hurting forever. I'm going to protect it by not letting my elbow lay back as well, by not letting my arm externally rotate as much. That's pretty normal, and there's not a whole lot of solutions to that except just calm down about it. But it's to be expected, really. So as I've been doing my throwing sessions, I take belly breaths often. I just try to be as calm as I can about it. I'm not by any means panicked about throwing. I mean, I've been just going to it because I've done this before, obviously. But nonetheless, I can just feel some tension in my arm. I just don't feel like my normal fluid self when I'm throwing, and I don't worry too much about it. The one thing that's really helping me to get more fluid and to get more relaxed in my arm is having a goal. So if you look in my throwing videos, I have targets set up. Now they represent different spots on the plate that when I am doing instruction or when I'm just personally throwing, I'm looking to start and end pitches at different targets. So there's one at each corner of the strike zone and then one down the middle. And so I'll be throwing a breaking ball for the upper corner, and I want it to break to the lower corner, for example. So right with fastballs, I have 5 different targets to aim at right now, so I'm letting myself get engrossed with the target. So all right, I'm not just throwing to a partner. I hate throwing to a partner, to be honest with you. The more I've done this target throwing, as I call it, not a very exceptional name for it, but as I do this target throwing, I'm so focused on hitting my spot that I forget that my arm's been injured. I forget that I have to hold back and coddle my arm, and it really allows me to get back into being a pitcher and stop worrying about, my elbow ligament. So for me doing target throwing right now, I forget about the radar gun, even though I know that I'm still within the limits. I forget about all that unnecessary stuff, and it allows me to let go a little bit more easily. So having a target, having a goal to throw to is pretty important, and it's going to allow you to take your mind off the fact that you're really just nervous and scared about letting go and re-injuring your elbow while you're throwing. So I would highly recommend playing just a target game with your partner. They give you a different spot on each throw, and just really be intent on hitting it and going through your mechanics, in a clean way. Obviously, if you watch me, I'm never just playing catch. I'm always going from the stretch or the windup or the slide step, one of the three, and that's how all my students throw as well. Because if you're not doing that, you're just wasting time reinforcing negative habits. So I guess that's pretty much most of my insight as far as this goes. My throwing program is kind of aggressive, I would say. I threw 105 throws on my day 3, which is a high volume. I have all the different programs. I think I have the Andrews Institute program. I know I have obviously Kremchek's program. I think I have one from Dr. Jordan, who's a guy in Florida. One of my readers sent it to me, and so I've compared a lot of them. Most of them go off of Dr. Anders, but the one that I'm following right now is, I think, pretty different than those, which is interesting. But again, I had no problems today. I don't expect any problems. He was a good surgeon, so here I am. But again, just relax about the throwing. If you're doing this yourself, you're watching this as a guy who's going through Tommy John, relax about it. Try to be as loose as you can. You're going to feel some stretch. You're going to feel some discomfort. That's normal. But getting back to normal throwing is going to take normal throwing. So if you're always reserved and tense, then you're not going to be making the progress you need to, because your ligament needs to have that stress of laying back an external rotation, all that. So as long as you're throwing the proper distance at the proper intensity, which is just enough to get it there, essentially, then you're doing fine. So just relax about it. Don't be nervous and let it go.